TheShy's Gwen just because of how good he is with positioning on the champion in team fights, using that hollowed mist, and then being able to churn out the damage. Because don't forget, we're seeing a lot more of this one-shot build in the LPL, which could work out well.
I will say, Tarzan has played the Sejuani display in the jungle position and has done exceptionally well with it. So still technically a flex. We'll see what the side of LNG want to kind of go for this one here. The APhelios and the Vi. We were actually talking about Vi earlier today. The Vi just enables you to just kind of be much more flexible with your composition, and it is straight up just a point-and-click CC. So when you have short-range AD carries like a Lucian, you can sort them down.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the big one here. Again, though, LNG, I think are setting up for a great team fight composition here. Like, Lucian, Nami should have good control over the APhelios in the bot side of the map. I'm curious to see if a Renata gets picked here, but I mean, we already kind of highlighted the Gwen and how good TheShy is, how much he prefers this champion. It's actually the most banned against Weibo, and yeah, it looks like they're just going to grab that one. But it does mean Renata will slip through the ban phase. Slip through the pick phase, which means we'll probably see it banned away here by LNG.
I mean, yeah, it makes total sense. Renata's just so good at just mitigating, especially post-level 6, where you're looking at a Sejuani, a Nami, a Lucian, all things that kind of want to run at you to try and get you down. Great things to be able to kind of turn around those kind of team fights. So the Fiora being banned away, they're actually going to go with the Ahri so far. So they might be looking towards those mid-lane picks to try and say, look, Angel, we can get you in the 2v2.
On Weibo's side, they're agreeing with you, though, Oisin. Fiora banned away, they're like, hey, we aren't convinced that this is actually going to be a Sejuani in the top side. Could be that flex into the jungle. So respecting that, banning the Fiora, banning the Jax, and making sure TheShy will have that comfortable matchup, which again, as we said, is the focal point for Weibo, trying to get TheShy ahead and having him be that big carry. Now with the Nautilus banned away as well, we'll have to see exactly what Weibo want to try and go for here. Imagine it'll be the support and then leaving that counter pick for Angel as this starts to go on.
Yeah, of course, Angel's not been having the greatest of splits, if I'm being totally honest here. Definitely looking at things more like the Twisted Fate that he's been, and Azir, of course, with Azir being banned. He has had a little bit of an identity crisis, it feels like, in the meta right now.
Yeah, I think overall, though, like, his carry performances in the late game fights are still great on the Azir, like an 83% win rate on the Azir. It's been absolutely fantastic. We're still seeing him pop off in things like the Sylas as well, so he is able to lean into these kind of more skirmish to late game team fight picks. But as you're already looking, Azir, Sylas banned away, Ahri gone. But Angel has always been a person that has a very wide champion pool, and this was actually a pick that I was about to talk about for Angel. The Akali for Angel was a pick that he brought out Worlds 2021, popped the hell off, and has been practiced a lot in solo queue. But Doinb kind of reading this and going, no, we're going to take this away. Could even actually be an Akali up into that top side as well against the Gwen. We'll have to see exactly what the game plan is here.
Okay, so it is going to be Sejuani into the jungle. Weibo called the bluff, and the bluff sadly was showing 2-3 or 8 high or something like that. So LNG gonna go with it. And the thing is as well, that Akali and Renekton, they can flex. They can still go top or mid. I will say that I'm more likely to see the Renekton go up towards that top side, but depending on what the side of Weibo want to go for in the mid lane, you might end up kind of saying, look, we can maybe get that early pressure with the Sejuani Renekton and make something punish in the mid lane.
Yeah, I'm curious now what the plan is, though, because I would prefer something like a Lissandra. They're actually going to go back towards it. I think you need extra engage here for Weibo. Like, Vi is nice, but you would like something that can kind of help follow up on that ability to go in towards the backline. Lissandra works really well, while also providing a good amount of that peel as well, because Huanfeng, very short range against an Akali, against a Renekton. That's definitely going to be an issue, and I was actually curious to see, yeah, it is going to be the Akali going into the top side, it looks like, and Doinb taking that Renekton mid. So definitely still preferring these bruisers that we've seen from Doinb, like the Kled and that in the past as well.
I mean, I love what LNG have brought together here, because they've actually identified what we've identified. Weibo don't do anything outside of laning phase. They're kind of saying, cool, if we just win lane and get objectives, we're in a much stronger position. However, the team fight after a couple of items on the side of Weibo is terrifying.
And that's why you have to try and use this top side of the map here for LNG to get these early leads. And that has been the focal point for a large portion of LNG. You have an Akali with 2 other melee champions that can look to take over. You get this Akali ahead for Allah. He's going to be a menace for people like Huanfeng in the team fight, and as well utilizing the fact that Doinb is going to be very strong towards these first Rift Heralds, towards these first Dragons, and LNG want that to hit the mid game in their stride.
Yeah, we'll see what way everything kind of works out. And honestly, I'm just excited to see this one game get into it, because what we saw, the proactivity, the decisiveness from LNG in those early game skirmishes. Will Weibo be caught off guard? Will they be prepared to sacrifice a couple of different neutral objectives in order to get them to their further goal of those late game team fights, or will they be kind of overtaken, if you will, by the power and the prowess and the pressure of LNG? I cannot overstate how important this series is. Both these sides, we really want to get back into Worlds, and they need to start off with a win. You want to start in the best way possible, get yourself a W. And Dagda, It's our first playoff cast together. I'm so excited.
I'm so ready.
I'm so ready.
Yeah, and look, as you say, I mean, your opportunity to get to Worlds rides on this series. Your pride for LNG, a super team in the making that hasn't really lived up to that term, needs to now find that success. And especially for Weibo as well, like living off the back of the organization's old name, Suning, they want to get back to Worlds. They were in a World Finals in 2020 against Damwon. And since then, just hasn't been quite the same for this team. But now, with TheShy firing all cylinders, back on comfort on the Gwen, I'm excited to see what Weibo can achieve here.
So obviously we know that Weibo don't really do much in the early game, but LNG can. And I wanted to ask you, where do you expect them to really put their focus? Where do we expect them to kind of put themselves in a position that can get those advantages?
Yeah, so if I'm Angel, I'm terrified. Because I'm looking at a Renekton with a flash stun, Tarzan coming in over the wall as well. Like, there's a huge amount of focus that can be put through this mid lane, and then trying to lean that in towards the top side, towards TheShy. And TheShy opting towards the Ignite, as we tend to see on Gwen, won't have that safety to try and escape. And if Angel is behind in lane or can't keep control of this lane, it becomes very difficult for TheShy to play up and aggressive in this matchup in the way that he'd want to try and get that advantage in the lane like we expect from TheShy.
I actually love this from the side of LNG because, yes, the Sejuani is an incredibly slow jungle clear. It's not going to be acceptable. But so is the Vi, to be perfectly honest. The Vi doesn't do exceptionally fast either. So you're kind of just saying, look, we don't really need a leash. We get better off just getting everyone into lane, making sure we're getting as much of a push or much of an advantage as we possibly can. I will say, though, the supportal combat at level 1 does feel a little bit better for On. As just have a little bit more trading capabilities compared to the Nami.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, it's just the Lucian Nami isn't that scary until you hit 3. Until you have full access to your kit, you can get all those Lightslinger procs and make sure that you're in a good opportunity to trade very quickly and effectively. Whereas for Huanfeng and On, you are just trying to poke down with the fact you got the Calibrum, get some advantage in the lane. And again, it's kind of like, hey, look, if we can like not interact with each other, at least in the early stages, LNG are happy. And a lot of people kind of get surprised to see Light starting off with the W. But if you actually look at the W damage that you can get on auto attacks when you land that, with the double shot that you get off of your passive and also then the W damage itself, it actually does more to a champion than the Q, which is why we're seeing a lot of the Lucians start W in these early levels.
Yeah, probably looking at this and thinking to yourself, you know, why would you pick Akali into the Gwen? The Gwen clearly has the pressure. Straight up, Akali's not a champion until 6, in my opinion. But then she becomes abhorrently disgusting with all her mobility, and she will be able to kind of take over that lane from there. But for the moment, for Ala, it's just about surviving, and Tarzan moving himself up here to make sure that he's covering this as, flash in onto TheShy. The Ignite comes down. He doesn't have a flash. This is literally going to be a kill coming out here because he just wasn't looking at his character.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunate there, but this is what we're talking about for TheShy. He will be the focal point for LNG. It was the exact same when they played in the regular split. Now SofM trying to make a response.
It's so hard, though, with a Nami. You can't really be going underneath the turret, and you'll be able to pressure and get this wave to crash, but you're not really doing much else. It's a good bubble. It's going to force out the exhaust there from On. But all of a sudden, you can see LNG, they're raring to go. Yeah,
and this is exactly what we wanted to see for LNG. And I love that they are putting their focus into the top side because, like, touching back onto the matchup, this is where it becomes very hard for Gwen to punish the Akali in lane. Because a lot of the way that Gwen runs through the early stages is using the skip and slash, getting your auto attacks down, trying to get your Q damage built up, getting to that 4th stack and then hitting the Akali with it. But when she has that Shroud, when she's able to dash away, it becomes very difficult to try and follow up onto that damage with the Akali. Plus having access to the energy means that she can oftentimes like sustain through the Gwen's mana as well. So overall, it works out pretty early, as you can see, or easy in the early stages. You can see here for Ala, who's able to shove in this wave, reset, and keep himself nice and topped up here.
And this is the big thing as well. Like we said, the LNG have picked lanes that should be able to win out, that should be able to be proactive. Getting that first blood onto the catalyst, the heart of everything that has been absolutely fantastic about Weibo on that top side is great, because we've noticed that when TheShy doesn't get ahead, SofM and the rest of his team kind of just fall into default mode.
I will say there are definitely games though where TheShy will go 0-2, 0-3 and still come back. And
100%.
Gwen is definitely a champion that if you don't close the game out soon, you will find a lot of struggles. And that's basically the big question that I have for LNG here. I love that they are trying to be more proactive, but I need to see them trying to now focus dragons on the bottom side of the map. Use the fact that Lucian Nami have that first reset. You got the Noon Quiver picked up. Cool. They should have really good trading power on this bot side. Utilize that to turn it into an early objective.
See what they're able to kind of work towards it. Of course, early dragons, not really a thing anymore since they give them extra HP. It takes a far longer commitment to really kind of go for that one there. You can get far better trades off on the map. And just kind of be the first real objective we definitely see being taken a lot of the time is that first Herald, which of course spawns in 2.5 minutes. So wait to see what the side of LNG wants to try and prioritize. But right now, they're listening to you right now, Dagda, because they are doing exactly what you said them to do. They're focusing towards this bot side, and Tarzan is here.
Yeah, there's a big wave pushing in though. So they can't start up the Dragon because they will just lose out massively on this bot side. But Tarzan looks like he will try and make something happen. I think Vi was spotted out though.
Ooh, very close up towards this top side. TheShy not really looking like he's going to be too long for this world, but they will have the perk execution and they have the Dominus. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place. He's trying to go in, but I don't think he's going to have much else to go. And he will be taken out. Really good roam from Doinb, and he is just making this Renekton early game work so well.
And it's so good to see from Doinb as well, because Doinb has been really struggling to find these early impacts at this in this split. Like when we look back at spring, he was 4th in the league for his kill participation at 15 for mid laners. Massive impact in the early stages. We come into summer, he's 16th in the league for kill participation at 15. Now, coming into playoffs, he's been far stronger in that regard. And LNG, though, with the presence of Doinb on the top side, won't be able to contest the Dragon. So at least Weibo kind of flipping the script as well a little bit here. Picking up these early objectives where traditionally they don't focus them at all.
Yeah, great response there from Weibo. It's always good to be able to try and lose something but gain something in return. It's always what we see from our top teams. It's a tit for tat. It's you get this, we get that. And now you got to try and make the dynamic of the game a little bit more interesting. So now, wait to see where they want to try and put their focus in here. As you can see, nearly level 6 here for LNG, and that's when the full-on engage of the Nami, especially with the tidal wave kind of pushing forward light, that's when it can get a bit scary. And if you can get that 6 before the wild growth can come in, that can be huge.
Yeah, Weibo, though, trying to see if they can respond on the map elsewhere. Angel did get that push in mid, but we haven't really known Angel as someone who, apart from on picks like the Twisted Fate, will be very active in the early stages, trying to find these plays. You can see them there, trying to struggle a little bit to see how they can utilize Angel effectively. Because, I mean, clearing out this wave, trying to link up with TheShy when he's got big pushes on top side like he does at the moment, could be the opportunity. But you can see Doinb kind of reading this already, saying, hey, look, I need to lean topside. I need to make sure Alec can pick up this wave. And this is where we're starting to see this resurgence in the mid-jungle from LNG, just playing so smart around the map and making sure everyone can stay safe.
I mean, that's the big thing. We, at the start of the year, were looking at Doinb and Tarzan. There was some very legitimate conversations of best mid-jungle combination, best two in class combined. That's how we looked at them. And straight up in summer, it just hasn't really looked like that. It really just felt like they were just on 2 different pages, not covering their side lanes, but it feels like now in playoffs, they're making that transition back. And
for Tarzan as well, I mean, in 2019, lost in the quarterfinals at Worlds to TheShy. I definitely think he's going to be a little bit of a personal vendetta against TheShy on that top side, and already we can see LNG leaning top here for that Rift Tower. TheShy might be in trouble again.
He's in a lot of trouble. Remember, he doesn't have flash here, so he's going to flash in. He doesn't have himself any immunity, and that's going to be another kill for Allah. A flash by Angel, and SofM has to disengage as well. LNG just own this top half of the map. They are just bullying TheShy.
And hang on.
I mean, they're going to try and go into this. Doinb is still very scary. They're going to try and burst him out, and it looks like Allah just stayed a little bit too far forward. They're going to try and jump now on top of SofM, who should be stunned in and traded back. So, yes, you kill down the Akali, but you've lost your jungler.
Yeah, I mean, still a big advantage for LNG. They should be able to move over towards this Rift Tower and pick this up as well, especially now that SofM is dead. No TP on TheShy. And this is just fantastic play from LNG. Again, we talked about playing through this top side of the map. Using the fact you have 3 melee champions for a Sejuani makes you incredibly potent in these skirmishes, and LNG are just playing to that beautifully.
Have a look at the replay here, and again, look, this is just TheShy, just not really respecting that he wants to clear the wave, but it's just not worth it.
Yeah, I think the idea here was, look, let's try and bait in topside, because look at where Angel is, look at where SofM is. They're like, okay, we can make a play happen. Just didn't expect LNG to be there first. They skirted around that ward TheShy actually had placed at the back of River there. You can see it just off to the right-hand side of the tower. And I think that's where they're expecting the attack to come from, but just kind of caught with his pants down. And then SofM going in way too deep here as well. Yes, as you say, gets the Akali, But I mean, a kill onto the Vi is definitely not worth the Blade of the Rune King now being completed for Doinb.
I mean, as well as that, yes, you get the Akali, but because your jungler's dead, the Rift Herald's completely uncontested. You pick up that objective now, and then the game plan from LNG, which has been this early game to get the advantages, specifically in topside, is just going to be able to be accelerated even more. So right now, they are going to continue to put down the hurt onto TheShy because there's just nowhere for him to go, nowhere for him to be, and this is the problem when your Gwen's getting countered because the Gwen just can't do anything.
I mean, this has been the focal point for LNG in this regular season. Now we're seeing it again here in the playoffs, and I mean, it just has been heartbreaking to see that TheShy hasn't been able to get up to the point where he's been able to put the damage forward. Because when you look at TheShy on on Weibo, like, he has been 30% of the team's damage first in the league. His goal difference at 15 has been massive, 400, second highest in the league for a top laner, and that's what has been the lifeblood of Weibo.
I mean, they're not going to stop though on the side of LNG. The exhaust comes out, and it's very much needed. Angel was going to die had he not had that little summoner there, the summoner spellbook coming in clutch, but now you're losing that for the next fight, maybe at around Dragon in 30-40 seconds.
Yeah, and LNG trying to see if they can train on bot side to find that victory, but Huanfeng doing a great job of trading back, and I think this is where we need to see Huanfeng step up. With TheShy now in shambles, it now has to rely on Huanfeng to be that late game damage. And Tarzan's now here.
Tarzan's here. He doesn't have flash, though. He will get the knock up with the Arctic Assault, and they're going to force the flash out as the tidal wave was coming. Huanfeng held it for as long as he could, but he recognized if he didn't flash then, he was never going to flash at all.
Especially with the stun that was going to be able to come through from Tarzan. But with Dragon now up, Huanfeng low, I just don't see a way that Weibo can try and contest this.
I mean, I can't really give any more praise to the LNG right now. LNG have just turned, not even just a page, a completely different book.
It's just LNG World Buff, man. Yeah. Like we saw it in 2021.
What's that?
We're
It's
seeing
World's
it again.
on the line. Let's go.
I mean, look, when you're looking at the talent that is on this squad, you expect them to be at Worlds. Like, this was always meant to be the super team, one of the super teams, I should say.
I was going to say,
in the LPL.
plenty of them.
Yeah, but, well, they just knocked out one of the other ones in BLG,
true.
right, to get here. And now looking at Weibo, Doinb moving up top side, he wants to punish TheShy again.
He wants to go for him again. TheShy does have Ignite, does have Needlework as well. So should be able to do something here if they try and look for something, but they get the immunity out of him, and then, yeah, there's nothing you can do. They got the tower aggro onto Doinb. The Renekton is just too damn strong, especially with that Blade of the Rune King. What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Bork. It's also the fact that you have, as you say, the health bar, the tankiness that comes through. Allah having a ton of damage. And it's only the Leeching Leer that was there for TheShy as well. It's not like you have a ton of that healing that can try and sustain you through a dive like that. And between the CC and the damage that offers between Akali and Renekton, you just don't stand a chance. So, I mean, the Dragon, though, does go to Weibo again, which honestly I think could now become a bit of an issue for LNG, because you are an incredibly short-range composition. So for Weibo, if they just avoid fighting you at Dragons, they're able to keep control and like keep burger flipping essentially Baron. I think they could be able to slow the pace of this game down a lot when we get to the mid game.
Well, that's the big thing. Yes, LNG have the gold lead, but it is basically all focused in on that top side. It is a 4-1-2 Akali, 100% kill participation there for Allah. Allah's got a lot of pressure on him now. He has to be the one to make things happen. He has to be the one to kind of dominate in the top side. Thank you so much for bringing up the gold. It is literally a 2,000 gold difference just in top side alone. The Rift Herald going down bot side, great to give Light and Lumao some kind of resources, but in my opinion, now it's going to be on LNG to make sure that this Akali is effective. And this Akali's not doing anything outside of just killing the Gwen, which is worth probably, what, 180 gold at this point? It's not really that relevant.
Yeah, I think the big one that we're going to have to focus on is that Rift Herald in a minute and a half. Like, this is where LNG can look to crack open the game. I think you have to use a mid lane, though. Like, try and create this long lane, give the opportunity to start, like, moving around the map, getting deep vision, looking for dives, especially if Weibo just aren't going to play ball at these next couple of Dragons. Like, just get ways to continue putting pressure onto side lanes. And you see TheShy.
Oh my God, he knows
I mean,
he's there.
what, fifth bitten, twice shy?
Yeah.
Is that where we go?
I mean, he's 0-5-0. It is a Riftmaker with Sword Shoes. This is where the point, this is normally the point where the Akali kind of goes, okay, I own this matchup. There's not really a lot you can do, but you're already so far behind now as well. A tower, not long for this world either. And now Weibo are kind of saying, okay, we need to try and make something happen this top side. We need to try and save people as Light. He's going to get Gale forced on and Moonlight Vigil. It's going to cost the culling there from Light. And honestly, I must say, Huanfeng and On have done exceptionally well at just mitigating this Lucian Nami pressure.
I mean, that was a big play as well, because, I mean, if you see the dive coming in on top side from Weibo, they'd love to try and make a response play for LNG in the bot side, but Light taking a good amount of damage and getting that wave pushed in means there's no real response with SofM hovering on this top side. Doinb, though, we'll find Angel.
Yeah, oh, this is the Belly of the Rune King damage, though. That Bork does so much, especially because you can proc it. Don't forget your W, the stun from Renekton, counts as auto-attacked. It will proc the passive off of the Belly of the Rune King, so you have to be so aware of that.
And especially if it's an empowered W, it counts as 3 different procs as well. So incredibly strong on this champion. And well, like one of the big reasons we've started to see Renekton creep back into the meta is because, well, one, his like control over early objectives, with early objectives being more valuable, but also just how strong this Blade of the Rune King, Sunfire Aegis, or Frostfire Gauntlet build is. Just having the extra damage coming through the Bork, having the slows, having that AoE damage coming through is so good for this Renekton, and makes it very hard to deal with off of 2 items, especially as you can see for like the likes of Weibo, how quickly you can stack up these dragons. Well, Renekton then can come alive at 3rd, 4th dragon, but it has to be a bit of a quicker paced game. And for Weibo, I mean, they're the ones that actually have control of objectives, so for them, they're happy to just say, hey, hands off, we'll wait the next 15 minutes out, we'll push this game to 30 minutes before we have to contest the soul, and then look at where TheShy will be, then where will Huanfeng be.
I love that about the Renekton as well. The more things change, the more they stay the same. It's just how it is with Renekton. It's like, he's terrible, but not in the LPL. If Renekton's ever going to be valuable or viable, it's going to be in the LPL. So
I think I was talking to Emily Rand, and she was just like, the reason LPL Renektons hit different is they just hold flash for dragons.
Yeah.
That is basically it. It's like, hey, if you can just play around that dragon, like with the Renekton, you're going to be in great shape. If you have flash for dragon fights, you're far more valuable. But we'll have to see how Doinb is going to make it rock. I just don't think, honestly, for the next dragon, like in a minute's time, I'd be very surprised if we see Weibo contest this. Like at the moment, it just feels like you go, okay, hands off, we'll just move elsewhere on the map, maybe look for a player in TheShy, get this guy back into the game, because a 0-5, a CS deficit as well, TheShy just isn't really relevant.
Yeah, I will say, though, yes, you can wait till 15 minutes or 10 minutes after this next dragon, I suppose, for 3 dragons to go down. Then you're like, okay, now we can test for soul. Dragons are a hell of a lot more powerful, especially if you're stacking them. So if you get 3 Mountain Drakes, that's kind of...
27% bonus armor magic resist.
That for a Sejuani, for a Renekton, that's
yeah.
huge. Like, it's just a huge amount of extra stats given to you, especially the later the game goes on. So you can see now that Weibo, I feel like they're kind of aware of this right now. They're saying, look, we're going to fish, see if we can catch them out, because you still have a Lissandra and a Vi, 2 things that can do exceptionally well at just picking a target and bursting them out.
Yeah, I mean, you're still only just completing your first item here for TheShy. You got to needlessly, like nearly the Shadow Flame completed for Ala. This topside difference is so huge, and even when you look at the impact Light can have in this fight versus Huanfeng, I don't know if this is the best idea.
We'll see. They might not believe you, though, right now, because they are stacking all 5 members. They do not have control over this river, though. And you can see just how dark it is, how hard it is for them to know what is going on. I think the dragon is basically already dead. And with Doinb playing Bouncer, there's not really much place for you to move forward. I think your best bet's trying to move mid, but no, they're going to try and maybe look for a fight here. TheShy goes in, but he's very much by himself. Needlework comes out and the ignites. You've lost your ultimate and your summoner. Not really an ideal situation. You don't really gain anything off it either.
That's why I wanted to see Weibo playing elsewhere in the map. They're just not strong enough at the moment, like compositionally, also with the state of the game, to try and fight at this moment. They had a massive wave that crashed into that top side. Like, that could have been your moment to go, right, we're not actually going to commit for Dragon. We'll commit instead towards that top side. And maybe they were worried about, hey, look, Dragon goes, take Dragon, immediately a Rift Tower comes down mid, or bot side for Tarzan, you can take 2 plates. But I think at this stage, like, trying to hedge your bets a little bit, get something back for yourself on the map is far more valuable, because inevitably, like, off these resets, you're going to see Tarzan go mid. I mean, you don't have the range to really contest some sort of Herald push in mid lane right now.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is that it did feel like they were just waiting for something to happen, maybe a misplay to come out, because again, it's the LPL, this is LNG, again, it's Weibo versus them, so Weibo should be feeling more confident. They were definitely the far and ahead better side in the regular split, but it definitely feels like it's LNG being more proactive. It's LNG dictating the pace, and now with a Shadow Flame finished up here on top of the Akali, this Akali can pretty much one-shot everybody.
Akali's terrifying. Like, a 4-kill Akali is terrifying regardless of the point of the game. And Now they're gonna have to find a way to try and deal with it. I think again, like the shining or silver lining for Weibo is the fact that objective control hasn't been stellar for LNG on this bottom side of the map, and that could give them some sort of leeway. But I think once we start to see these rift tiles going down, like and once you actually start to, as it's going down in mid, actually get these plays coming through from LNG, it becomes so much more difficult to hold on to structures, hold on to control of the map, and then you get to lean into sides as LNG and try and take these towers down.
There you go. So LNG now 2 towers, and there's no real response because actually we saw Angel resetting from topside because topside tower is actually really healthy right now, and they get a second charge as well. So that tower in mid, second tower, is going to be very easy for them to take should they get a good rotation. And just LNG dictating the top side of the map, using the advantage of Allah, using it and saying, look, you don't have a Gwen right now. We have an entire item ahead of you. You have to respect it. So Weibo, they're just backing themselves away. That being said, though, they've TP'd Angel down towards this bot side. They're looking to try and collapse onto Allah and Doinb, but you got to be so careful with this one. They've committed so much onto the Renekton, who's got himself an ultimate, and he's just so tanky. He won't go down. And Angel, you TP'd in for nothing. That's 2 more kills for the Akali, and the AoE slow of the Glacial Prison is just massive. LNG have torn Weibo apart. Weibo didn't know what they were doing.
Weibo just had to not give LNG the fight that could break open this game, and they just did it. LNG now can move over towards the Baron. TheShy can't contest. He's on his own with Huanfeng, and LNG, they are looking dominant in playoffs so far.
They are looking insane right now. This is, again, Weibo with TheShy, a guy who was coming out on top of the charts regardless of role in every single metric. And they're just making them look like WE. No offense to WE, but it's just how it is. And this is a play, like, they kind of go for it, but then it's Angel and SofM. Everyone else backs away.
I mean, this is just such an overextension. They're trying to make a pick, but they have no idea where the rest of LNG are on the map, and they're able to collapse so quickly. Allah, again, decimating people alongside Doinb in these early skirmishes, and then Tarzan as well. Great play here. Man, it doesn't connect with the Sejuani ult, but gets that big AoE slow that allows the chase down to happen. And from this point on, I mean, LNG now dragging in a minute and a half, Baron buff to start pushing in these waves. They've already got mid turret, they got bot tower, like, they are so drastically far ahead.
6,000 gold at 22 minutes. They even have a Baron to keep pushing on top of that as well. This is LNG looking like a completely different team. This is not the same team. If you turned off nameplates, as we all love to say, this isn't the LNG from regular split. This is such a different style, such a different focus from these guys, and it's so refreshing.
And this is the exact same conversation we had in 2021 when it was Icon in the mid lane with this squad, how they stepped up massively, having that miracle run, and it feels like once more we might be getting the inklings of that again. And I think it's just fantastic to see, especially when you look at guys like Poppy, Easy Hoon, coaching staff, they're behind the scenes to make this sort of stuff happen.
Moonlight Vigil was good. You can see now Angel looking for something on, almost taken out. The tidal wave's going to be trying to disengage there from Light, but he gets taken out. That's going to be a nice little kill here coming out here for LNG, or sorry, for Weibo, as LNG now starts to group back. They're going to jump back onto TheShy, who's just been bullied this whole time. Doinb is 1v4 on the backside and winning. It was a proactive play from Weibo, but it does not matter because LNG are just so far ahead.
I mean, they have no damage. And this is kind of the big thing that we've been seeing a lot from Weibo, is that TheShy, it's one or done. Like, Huanfeng, the AD carry that we saw step up at Worlds in 2020 that made him a name for himself on picking things like the Jhin, hasn't found his success this split at all on Weibo Gaming. Like, you look at his damage percent from Spring, 27%, not a huge amount, but significantly higher than 23% that he's doing this split. That's what we're starting to see from a lot of top laners at the moment, not AD carries that are playing things like APhelios, Jinxes, Zeris. And you can see here, he's just not having that opportunity as Tarzan comes in over the side. They try to all in on towards the backline here again. Light gets the opportunity to flash away. And look, yes, TheShy does get it, but now Weibo spread all over the place. Doinb is chasing everyone around to that backside as LNG finish off low health members.
I mean, yes, like you said, you got Light, but look at everything that was committed. You had the cease and desist from the buy. You had the Glacial Prison, or the Glacial Tomb coming out here from Angel. And then TheShy puts in the Glow. That's 3 massive ultimates to kill 180 carry, who I'm going to be honest with you, isn't exactly my priority. Now you're going to try and get onto your priority. This is the person you need to try and kill, and they will shut him down. Importantly, that goes over to Huanfeng. That is 1,000 gold shutdown.
Massively as well. Look at where TheShy is. Shy's in top side pushing in. Now you can easily defend your bot side. So really good pick from Weibo again, to try and slow down the pace of this game, get some of these objective bounties for yourself, and try and claw your way back into this game. It's just, you are so far away. I mean, look at the items between TheShy and Ala, right? You're 3 items nearly onto Ala. You've an item and a half on towards TheShy, but this, at least for Ala, just a bit of an overextension. Tries to get the pick onto Huanfeng. I mean, look, we've all been there. Your fed is all hell on an
I'm not going to blame him for
You're like,
that,
I can get this, but not quite able to get the kill.
I'm 3 items.
Yeah, it does slow down, though, what LNG are, how quickly LNG can try and push this game forward. But I think with the control they now have, like, pushing, or taking 2 tier 2s, the tier 1, or tier 2 and top side, the only one left standing, gives you so much control over top side, like for things like Baron. You can't really face check on Weibo as well, because anyone on Weibo face checks, you're going to end up being murdered immediately by Ala's damage, Tarzan, like there's so much upfront burst that can come through. So with the control LNG have, I don't even know if they need to use dragons as this like forced objective to try and find fights. I think Baron is actually going to be more than capable of them either just going immediately towards it or even just bursting it down as well.
Yeah, and I think as well, like looking at the, well, you know, the bounty objectives coming out here as well from Weibo does get them within about 5,000 gold, 5.5. So definitely crawling it back a little bit. You have 2 items now onto TheShy, much more relevant than he was a while ago. But still, look, I love the itemization that's coming out here from Doinb and Tarzan. Doinb and Tarzan going for full utility slash, just straight up tank. Doinb saying, look, if I can just survive on the backside, make sure that no one's able to do damage with this Randuin's Omen, I'm doing my job. I don't have to be the carry because we did all that hard work for Allah. That's why he is it. Now, though, LNG are getting a little bit complacent, as we can see now. 5 members of Weibo committing to this top side, and I love this from Weibo because there's no response.
And this is actually some of the things we saw from LNG in the middle of the split as well, where they get to this mid game, you think, okay, we can try and push sides. You've got like Renekton and the Akali. In theory, you should be able to win out in side lanes, but they wouldn't sync up their lanes. LNG had gone for a full reset. Doomy's pushing up past River, and Weibo are like, great, this is our time to strike. So another pick goes across. Now that gold lead, 5,000 gold, thanks to objective bounties and thanks to the fact they found a couple of these picks, big shutdowns from Ala on towards Huanfeng. And look, I'm not saying that they're going to be able to fight. I don't think at the next dragon either, just with the way things are going. But, I mean, Huanfeng nearly at his 3rd item. Like, he's getting to a point where he's dangerous. TheShy as well, still a ways off of things like the Void Staff, but he's also getting kind of strong. So, you're not quite out of the woods yet, LNG. And the fact that you're making these slight mistakes and giving time to Weibo is going to start to cause issues.
I mean, that's the big thing right now. It's time, it's resources, it's a little bit of money. We can see with the IE now finished off. Ooh, Glacial Prison not going to quite land there, but commit 2 ultimates to try and pick some people off. And you can see just how much Weibo have to stay together. They can't really leave this 4-man group. Yes, Gwen can go off to a side lane, but Gwen's kind of the only one.
But that's the thing. They're basically going, hey, look, TheShy, you take your time. You go off to a side. You find all the farm you want. Get the levels that you need, because at the moment you're 2 levels behind Allah, but we'll deal with the rest.
SofM, he's going to be stunned up here. Does not have flash, and he gets taken out. And On tried to flash in for the wild growth, not quite in time. And now you're out of jungler, and there's Baron on the table.
Yeah, and this is where we got to see now if Weibo can actually try and contest this, because a second Baron for LNG is going to be devastating as they start to move in towards the base. You don't have those outer structures to kind of weather the storm, so Weibo trying to see if they can move in. They need to find a ton of burst damage with TheShy.
Oh, here we go. TheShy goes straight in, but he gets stunned up before he can really do anything. Ala's jumped onto the backside onto Angel to maybe make something work. He gets the perfect execution after he's exhausted. Oh, I saw that Q coming out there from the APhelios. Ala, though, getting chased down by TheShy, but TheShy has been shut down. A cleanse from Huanfeng, but he's still in the slow. He has to flash away, but he's been followed over by a mad woman on a pig. And now Angel's all alone in the world. As you can see, finally SofM respawns, but I don't think it's going to be enough. That's Baron. That's several kills. LNG, they took their foot off the gas, then straight back onto Weibo's neck.
And you've got 3 dead now for Weibo. Baron buff, and look at the size of this wave. I think LNG just end here.
I mean, it's a huge wave. You have 2 cannon minions, caster minions as well, doing more damage to structures. You don't exactly have wave clear here. Yes, Angel will do a little bit, but it's all ranged minions. It's not really going to be a lot there for them to do.
Big mistake from SofM. Why they just cost that Weibo game 1.
See what they want to go for. Nexus turret number 1 does go down. LNG are going to back up. Death timer's not quite at their longest. They're going to back themselves away, reset, and try to get for this dragon. But a TP coming in mid, that's just to cover the wave. You can see it. Weibo are saying, look, we need to take this dragon. We need to take it now.
Yeah, try and stop LNG from being able to get into that position. Both TPs were burnt by LNG in that last passage of play, so they're going to be slow. But as we say, the dragon's health is up. Like, it's a lot slower to take down, but yeah, I think they should be fine here. It's just a case of trying to get out of there at the same time. But yeah, with all 5 members of Weibo here, they'll be able to escape away from this. It shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Well, almost losing the game there, but the Baron's still ticking for another minute and a half. Your top lane inhibitor turret has gone down, as has your inhibitor. And now LNG, they're not going to be too upset with that, to be perfectly honest. Yes, it does delay them their soul, but at the same time, they get so much. It's now a 10,000 gold leader just underneath it. You're on 3 items for pretty much everybody. And again, redemption coming out for Tarzan. He knows what his job is. His job is to keep his carries alive.
The thing is, though, for LNG, you're going to start running out of this Baron buff in minutes, so you got 2 more waves to work with, but you're now going to have to try and utilize fully the fact that you have super minions on the top side to try and spread Weibo thin. But again, you don't have a composition that's very good at sieging, right? Like, Light's very short range, free melees on the rest of your map. Like, you don't actually have someone that can safely step up and auto-attack these turrets. So for LNG, they are heavily reliant on things like the Baron to close this one out. And right now, I just don't see how LNG can push the game forward further unless they can crack open one of these turrets now.
See a huge wave there trying to be thinned out. Going to cause 3 members, which means you don't have the numbers to defend mid. So I like what's happening here from LNG. They synced up the waves fairly well and kind of said, cool, we can crack open another inhibitor. They might even get the bot lane. This could be 3 inhibitors off of this Baron push. And yes, you are getting to a 3-item at Gwen. You are getting to a 3-4-item at APhelios. But it's not going to matter because you just have double super minions. We're going to go for a full fight. Here we go. Jumping straight in. Doinb wants to end the game right here, right now. Redemption comes out just to heal. Actually, to do damage. Excuse me. That's a redemption offensively by Tarzan. And now they're on to the Nexus turret. There's only one left, Dagda. And they're going to try and go for this one. But it's a Hail Mary coming out now from Weibo. They need to defend for their lives. But I don't think their lives are going to be there for much longer. They cannot survive. LNG find themselves a fantastic early game. And they take the advantage in this series.
LNG are keeping that playoff buff alive, coming in looking great against BLG and a fantastic game 1 against Weibo. And look, I was trying to say they may not be able to find their footing in the mid game. They haven't played for those early dragons, but using Rift Heralds to break open the map, finding great picks in the mid game, and pushing this game forward with being able to pick up those early Barons, LNG made that look easy.
I mean, what an incredible turnaround for this team so far. Look, it is only game 1 of a best of 5, but just such an incredible change of pace. It's a completely different team, and honestly, I just can't believe how just cohesive and well they looked. Like, just how greased up and honestly just well running.
Yeah, and I mean, look, there was 1 or 2 mistakes in the mid game where they were getting caught out, but overall, this was a great game from LNG. We saw them playing towards that top side in the early stages, shutting down TheShy super effectively. Doinb getting good opportunities on this Renekton as well to start leaning in towards things like the Rift Herald to set that one up for themselves. And then when we got towards that mid game, they just knew they were stronger. It was like, hey, look, if we find anybody at all, just go for the engage. Tarzan was in a great spot. They turned around a ton of these early plays as well. It was just brilliant stuff from the squad.
And I mean, it comes back to what we talked about. When TheShy is focused, when TheShy isn't the carry and able to make those calls, everyone goes on default. Everyone goes a little bit too lackadaisical, I suppose, for my liking. It just feels like everyone just went a bit too on kind of autopilot. Like Huanfeng, yes, he got the 3 items, but apart from 1 or 2 Moonlight Vigils, wasn't really effective.
Well, that's the thing. It's like we talked about this composition. You just don't have damage later, right? Like, you need to, or sorry, you have damage later. You don't have it at the immediacy that you need it with for Weibo. Like, Huanfeng needs 3-4 items. TheShy needs 3-4 items. And look, TheShy, as you can see, definitely doing a hell of a lot of damage with this needle work, but it was just too little too late. And especially when you look at like the big health bars you're seeing on Tarzan and Doinb, they're absorbing a ton of that. And unfortunately for them, the kind of go graph speaks for itself. A nice steady climb there for LNG.
I mean, you gotta start thinking about for Weibo, what's the plan here? Because regardless of size, blue or red, you camp TheShy and the rest of your team just seems to fall apart. The guy is just such an important and pivotal piece to how your team works and how it functions. And honestly, I got to give big props over to the side of Allah as well, because Allah, he did his job. He did what he needed to do. He got ahead, and then he became a monster where he was just jumping onto the backsides. Even around that Baron fight, we saw Angel use, or sorry, On using the exhaust, Angel using the ultimate. Everyone was just focusing everything onto him, and he still got it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see people that can go 1-8 in a game and then have 33% of the team's damage a huge amount. Like, even the damage to gold ratio was insanely high. He did a fantastic job of trying to find success in the mid game, but the problem was he'd already been set behind so magnificently in the early stages by LNG. So I think coming into game 2, we need to see SofM leaning up towards that top side, trying to play more aggressive there. But even like just looking for cross maps more. Like, we saw these dragons being set up and nobody on Weibo Gaming is actually trying to play for top side. You know, we never saw Angel with the push he had mid trying to lean and help out TheShy, trying to find some sort of response. So I definitely think that now this is the big test for Weibo. Can they actually start to interact on the map early? Because otherwise LNG are just going to run away with it like they did here.
The mini meta. My favorite thing about best of fives. These little tiny little microscopes of metas that you end up having just because of the two teams that are playing. I absolutely love it. But yeah, great start for